If you're asking, how can I backup HubSpot? Then you have three options. The first one is to rely on the in-app restore capabilities of HubSpot. These allow you to restore and recover deleted items up to 90 days, or to undo a mistake within 14 days. Secondly, you can also do manual exports of your data to either CSV or Excel. And thirdly, you can set up an automated backup that runs in the background. And this you can either build yourself, or you can use a third-party tool that does that for you. Now, full disclosure, I work at ProBackup, which is one of the tools I will mention in this video. However, I will give an honest and objective overview of each of the options and discuss their pros and cons. Let's start with the in-app restore capabilities of HubSpot. If you go to any table in HubSpot, like in this case, for example, I go to the context table, then you have here three dots. If you click on that, you can see two options, restore records and restore CRM changes. Let's start with the restore records. This will give you access to the trash bin, and it will keep all deleted records of that table up to 90 days. You can use these fields to search on a certain date stamp, and you can also search on a particular workflow or a user. From here, you can select the records that you would like to restore and then use this button to restore them back to the contacts table. You also see here, if you hover over a record, the option to delete a record immediately. If you click here, then this item will disappear from your trash bin, and from that moment, it can no longer be retrieved by HubSpot itself. So this can be useful if it is for a GDPR or privacy deletion request, but it also creates a danger that teammates, either willingly or because of malicious intent, delete records permanently from your HubSpot account. Then I will go back to the table. You can click again on the three dots to go to the other option, which is called Restore CRM Changes. And this is a very powerful feature because it allows you to choose a certain action, whether it's a CRM change, import, or workflow, and then restore the data based on your selection back to how it was before. So you can either choose certain properties that you would like to roll back. You can also change or choose by which user made this change. And then you can also select the start date. So this is very useful. If you know you've done an import that went wrong, then you can use this functionality to roll back your mistake, and then everything will be restored to how it was before. So this is a very good and powerful feature. I'm very glad that HubSpot built this. It's not something many other SaaS apps have provided, and I really like how this looks in the user interface. Also, I should say about restore records, they keep the deleted records up to 90 days, which is also much more than the usual SaaS apps. Most other apps keep deleted record up to 30 days. So also here, HubSpot scores some brownie points for keeping their deletion window up to 90 days. So the in-app restore capabilities are very powerful, but they mostly protect you against scenarios that you are aware of. It is also good to have an extra export or a backup of your data to protect you against scenarios that you weren't aware about in the first place. So the first one of this is the export. Again, similar to the three dots here, in every table in HubSpot, you will see here the export button. And if you click here, you will see this pop-up view where you can choose the name of your export and also choose if you want to export it to Excel or CSV. And you just have to click on export to initiate this request. So this is a very quick and easy way to do this. And if you just manage HubSpot to manage your contacts, then doing this once per week or once per month might already be enough for your use case. However, it's very important to understand that this is just an export of your table. It is not an export of your CRM. And with this, I mean that none of the relationships of your contacts to other items, for example, to engagements, notes, tasks, emails, and so on, will be included in that export. It is just all of the columns and values that you see here from your export table, from your contacts table, that will be exported to the Excel file. That also means if you need to recover or restore data from those exports, none of those relationships will be retained, and it will just be the plain data from the table that you see here. But again, if you don't rely on those relationships, then doing this export manually once per week could be enough. Of course, there's a risk that you don't do it every week, and then you might be looking to the third option, namely the automated backups. So let's talk about the third option, which is using a third-party provider to backup your data automatically in the background. To do this, you can go to the HubSpot a marketplace to find all apps. And if you then search on backup, you should find immediately the main providers. ProBackup is one of them, but you also have Syscloud and Skyvia, who are good tools to back up your HubSpot data. I'll quickly show you how this looks for ProBackup. So this is my account for ProBackup. To get started with your backup, it's a very quick process. You just need to create a ProBackup account, and then once you have done that, you will need to click on this plus here to add HubSpot to your account. You will have to sign into HubSpot and then authorize ProBackup to have access to your account. And then on the third step, you will just start the initial backup, and then from that moment on, we will automatically backup your data once every 24 hours. So the setup of your HubSpot backup is very easy, very intuitive, and it just takes a few minutes to get started. Once you've done this, then you can view your data, of course, that's been backed up. So you can navigate through all of the tables of HubSpot, contacts, companies, deals, and so on. And you see here immediately all the contacts. You can click here to view a particular contact. You can also use these tabs here to navigate to a previous version. And if you wish to restore data, then you just click on restore, and you can either restore contacts as a new record, which will create a duplicate in your contacts table, or of course, if the contact has been deleted, then it will create a new record. But you can also override existing records and, for example, choose which fields you would like to overwrite. It is important to stress with these tools that they can be very powerful and very handy to protect you against any worst case scenario, because we do a daily snapshot of all your data types, but we are backing up your data through the public API. And the same is true for other tools like Skyvia and Syscloud. This means there are certain constraints. For example, we cannot back up every data type. And also when we restore data, there are certain constraints that you need to take into account. And these constraints vary or can vary per vendor. So I recommend to check for each of the vendors, what is it that they can back up and what is it that they can restore. So to summarize, you have 3 options to protect yourself against data loss in HubSpot. The first one are the in-app restore options of HubSpot itself. These are very powerful and allow you to recover and restore deleted versions up to 90 days or undo a mistake up to 14 days. Secondly, you can also do a manual export, which is quick and free to do, but it does not retain any of the relationships, and you need to do it manually and do it for every important table. And then thirdly, you can also rely on an automated backup tool that backs up your entire account, but there can be certain constraints that are depending on the API of the tool. Whatever route you pick, I would really recommend to test each of these scenarios, test the restore functionality of HubSpot, test re-importing data to see how that feels, or if you have a third-party tool to back up your data, test their restore functionality so that you don't have any surprises on the day that you actually need to restore data. That's it for this video. I hope this was helpful. In the description, I'll add some more information about ProBackup. Thanks for watching.